Hello, this is Leah Whitehorse from Astrology with the cosmic forecast for May 2014. So now that the cardinal grand cross is gradually beginning to ease away, May feels a whole lot calmer than last month, and there is a sense of movement. In the background, we also have a lovely grand water trine between Jupiter, Chiron and Saturn, with Jupiter perfecting the trines to first Chiron and then to Saturn. This configuration makes me think of the song Follow the Yellow Brick Road. The grand trine is about knowing what's possible and finding a way to build a bridge from here to there. With a little faith and hope, we can connect with our own deep inner wisdom. Venus is the kickstarter this month as she moves into Aries on the 3rd of May. As Venus is ruler of Libra and Aries is opposite to Libra, this is traditionally a difficult placement for Venus. She is considered in detriment in this sign, but this just means that we have to work a little harder to use her energy here. Venus in Aries is about going after what you want. The trick is to be very sure that what you want is in line with your true values. Aries is a go-getting sign, and Venus is about harmony, love, and happiness. So Venus is all about the thrill of the chase. This isn't the most patient of placements either. It tends to evoke a feeling of, I want this and I want it now. What you have to watch with this transit is getting distracted, because something can seem all pretty and shiny at first. Maybe it's because it's new, but later down the line you might feel differently. So a little caution is advised in the midst of all this excitement, just to make sure that what you're chasing is what you really want. Get in touch with your heart. Who or what really attracts you and inspires you with confidence? Who or what encourages you to grow? Who or what gives you the confidence to go where you haven't been before? Be open and honest with yourself, and Venus can fill you with infectious enthusiasm. The flighty feel of Venus is further compounded by Mercury moving into his own sign of Gemini on the 7th of May. There's definitely a distraction factor going on here, but these are also fun and friendly vibes, and the mind is kicked into gear. The mind is likely to feel clear and thoughts come thick and fast. There's a strong need to connect and exchange information. It's amazing what we can learn from each other. Mercury in Gemini is sociable and talkative and can't wait to get the latest gossip or hot news. These aspects lend themselves towards effective communication, especially when it comes to topics that are close to your heart. The only difficulty is that it's easy to get sidetracked. Concentration isn't Gemini's strong point. Like Venus, there may be a little impatience at times, especially if someone isn't as quick on the uptake as you would like. It's important to listen just as much as it is to share ideas. Essentially though, with this transit, it's about being as curious as you were when you were a child. Ask why, find out, discover more, read, talk, sign up to a course. There's always more to learn. The full moon in Scorpio occurs on the 14th of May, and this date also sees a trine between Jupiter and Chiron and a forceful square between Venus and Pluto. This is an intense moon, but it has its payoffs. The full moon itself is conjunct Saturn and trine to Jupiter, so it's time to get serious about what we believe, but there are some sticky issues to address. Firstly, with the moon conjunct Saturn, it's about getting real, even if it's not comfortable. Venus square to the full moon ruler Pluto highlights themes connected to shared resources and deeper issues around compulsive wanting and manipulative behavior, especially when it comes to love and money. Mars, the co-ruler of this lunation, is still under duress from the cardinal grand cross, and it's semi-square to this full moon. Our true motivations are being tested. Venus square Pluto can be a passionate aspect, especially with a Scorpio moon, but things can get out of hand if anyone attempts to control others around them. But Venus is also conjunct Uranus. If you find yourself holding on, let go, see what happens. Trust that things may look different from a higher perspective. With the Sun in the full moon charts conjunct asteroid Epona and minor planet Sedna, some may need to climb down off their high horses, a sacrifice to a greater purpose. Those that live in an ivory tower may get a rude awakening at this full moon. But for the most part, if you're willing to dig deep, you may find that underneath any discomfort is a profound sense of I know what to do. And deep in your heart beats an undeniable truth. Mars stations direct on the 20th of May, and I can almost hear the cries of thank the gods for that. It's been a bit of a testing time for many of us, myself included, whilst Mars has been retrograde in the sign of his detriment. Personally speaking, my battle came with a faulty internet connection, which was infuriating for someone whose business is entirely online, and my croaky voice is the last laugh from Mars, which has been retrograde through my third house of communication. But it is important to recognize the lessons that have been learned during the retrograde period. Mars stations direct on the Sabian symbol. Having passed through narrow rapids, a canoe reaches calm waters. And this really couldn't be any more descriptive. Whilst the retrograde period may have been disruptive, we've all learned some survival skills along the way. Maybe you've learned what's really worth fighting for. Now that Mars gears up to forward motion, it's likely you'll experience a sense of release and a renewal of energy and enthusiasm. If there's been any anger or frustration, this should help to dial down the heat. However, bear in mind that Mars has a way to go before he's out of the retrograde shadow, so take things slowly if you can. The Sun enters Gemini on the 21st of May, heralding the month of the twins. So happy birthday to all you Geminis. The sign of Gemini is all about duality, and the purpose of this sign is to seek to understand contradictions in life. Everything has its opposite, and Gemini is the thread of understanding between these opposites. Ruled by Mercury, Gemini makes connections where connections were previously unseen. The purpose of Gemini is to reconcile intellect and instinct, material and spiritual in one union. Gemini is dexterous, agile, and adaptable. It can see both sides of a situation or argument. Mercury, ruler of Gemini, was the go-between god, the only god to have an access all areas pass to all realms, including Hades. When the Sun is in Gemini, it's about being quick on your feet, adaptable, and open to new information. The constellation of Gemini is symbolized by the twins Castor and Pollux. One twin lived as an immortal in the heavens, and the other twin lived down here on Earth. When the Sun is in Gemini, then, sometimes we experience extremes in order to gain a proper understanding of each point of view. In real-world terms, tune into the energy of Gemini by remaining open and curious about life. Read, think, and talk about what's happening in the world. Engage with people who have a different perspective or opinion so you can stretch your thinking. Debate. Keep asking questions. The new moon in Gemini on the 28th of May reiterates many of the Gemini themes we already have in play this month. A conjunction, however, between the new moon and asteroid Hygeia put the focus firmly on mental health and wellness. With Mercury, the ruler of the new moon, trine to the north node and sextile to the south node, our state of mind, as well as the information we receive, directly connects to our ability to fulfill our life purpose. You know the old quote by Henry Ford, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. The new moon is also square to Neptune, which does bring up the rather unsavory association with Gemini, which is being two-faced. So there can be a compulsion to tell tall stories. This deceptive aspect may see untruths slipping off the tongue just because it seems easier at the time. And a trine to Mars from the new moon may sort of hasten this tendency along. The consequences, though, are also just as quick to manifest. Lying to ourselves is even worse. Use the best of this square to connect your wonderful imagination to the powers of the mind. Gemini also rules the lungs in astrology. Breathe. Your breath is a conversation with the cosmos. When you breathe in, you use the oxygen in the air to keep your body alive. When you breathe out, you release carbon dioxide. The plants around you take in the carbon dioxide and in turn release oxygen. It's a dialogue of life between us and Mother Earth. By focusing on your breath, you can still and strengthen your mind. The very end of the month sees a gradual shift away from the mental agility of Gemini towards a softer and gentler feel, with Venus moving into Taurus and Mercury moving into Cancer, both of which occur on the 29th of May. So Venus is now in her element, reveling in the delights of the flesh and the beauty of the body. Mercury in Cancer tends towards emotional thinking. So thoughts are coloured by what we feel, and we're likely to communicate on a deeper level. And along with Venus, we're wanting to make more meaningful connections. Both transits are connected to a sense of security. It's about physical connection, either through the passion of romantic love or the blood ties of family. The body talks. Whilst experts differ on actual percentages, it's known that body language makes up far more of our conversation than the words we speak. Thinking back to the new moon square to Neptune, the little lies we tell ourselves and others are translated into physical form and spoken through our body language. So take a little time this month to tune into what your body is saying. Illness and aches and pains may be a manifestation of incongruous or conflicting thoughts. Most of all, just hug someone you love. If you can't tell them how you feel, show them. So this month I chose the Llewellyn Tarot, and the card that came out was the Justice card. Which is interesting because justice links to the sign of Libra. So it connects very well to Mars stationing direct in Libra, and also this general airy feel that we have to the month. As you can see, the figure of Justice holds scales in her left hand and a sword in her right hand. Swords are connected to the mind and to intellect. So the Justice card shows that this month it's important to clear your mind so that you can make balanced decisions. Justice is about listening to all sides. She doesn't let her emotions get in the way. She doesn't take things personally. So after we've been pulled in all different directions with this cardinal grand cross and the Mars retrograde, it's time to come back to center. Once you feel strong and secure in what you think, you can't be swayed by other people's opinions or even by your own head chatter. So this clarity of mind helps you to clear any confusion and move towards your own goals. So trust your decisions.
All hail to the Queen of Stars.